Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Open Book. I am Billy Price, co-founder of Billy Footwear, and today we have an amazing episode with two amazing guests. One, we have Caitlin and we have Leah of Her ALS Story. Welcome, Caitlin and Leah.
Thank you so much. We're really happy to be here.
Caitlin,
Hi, Billy. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. I am using eye gaze technology to communicate, so I apologize in advance for being slow.
Oh, no problem at all, Caitlin. Thank you so much. And Leah, thank you so much for being here. Caitlin, I would love to have you kick us off here. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
We are such super fans of your company. Since we lost dexterity and control later in life, the fact that you have so many options and that they're so cute is a godsend. I am also a psychologist, though I didn't find Billy's until I needed them myself, and I love recommending them to others. I would love to tell you about Her ALS Story. We're a group of women who were all given the same devastating death sentence before we turned 35. Sadly, our group has grown to over 100 members. We all value advocacy, research, and facilitating life to make it as easy as possible for those with differing abilities.
Oh, Caitlin, that's amazing. Thank you. Leah, can you share some of your story?
Definitely. I first just want to echo Caitlin and saying that we are such a fan. It's really funny. Sometimes we'll go to these events and we'll look down and like a few of us will all be wearing the same shoes because we all have Billy's on. So we are super fans. But so to rewind a little bit, I'm Leah. I'm currently 30 years old. And I actually founded Her ALS Story back in 2021. Because when I was diagnosed with ALS in 2019, I was 26. I didn't know what ALS was in the beginning, right? Like I found myself with a neurologist, and I didn't even know what they were saying, right? I didn't understand it. So it really landed in my life out of nowhere. And I felt pretty alone in that diagnosis because I looked out and you see people like Lou Gehrig with ALS, or maybe Stephen Hawking had the disease. But there aren't many female faces you're seeing living with this disease that is incredibly debilitating. So that was kind of the original impetus to start Her ALS Story, and it's a really incredible network that has been built of young women from multiple continents that have in common this disease. So it's a pretty special thing that we've created together.
Well, wow. Well, yeah, I think this is a perfect time for me to share just the website address, because before this call, I was able to, look at the website, and actually let me pull up the social as well. So on social, it's Her ALS Story, as well as on the web, it's heralsstory.org. I got to say, the website has so many so many stories and smiling faces. And, kudos to the community to being able to reach out and bring people together and share these stories, because you answered my question already, like how far the reach is, but it sounds like it spans multiple continents.
It's pretty incredible. We have a member as far as Singapore, Australia, Bulgaria, right? People in South America. So that's a good representation of the fact that ALS doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care how old you are. doesn't care about your gender, where you come from, anything. So people are impacted all over the globe.
Caitlin, how did you
It's
hear about
definitely a blessing. I've been diagnosed for over 7 years, and it makes such a difference to have this community. When I was first diagnosed, it was a different world.
Caitlin, how did you find out about Her ALS Story?
A friend in my support group actually connected me with Leah before she created the group. She was doing a campaign called In Her ALS Shoes, and it was a godsend to connect with her and the other girls.
Wow. I'm always amazed at how just word of mouth and making those connections, how powerful and impactful they are. I mean, Leah, you started off with like kind of this idea, and what was that journey like as you started building the community?
Well, it was very much that, just an idea, right? I didn't set out to create a group. It was more that like I wanted to find some friends that could really get what I was going through. And so I was fortunate that I met this rock star ALS advocate named Lori Andre, who kind of mentored me a little bit and said, let's get a series of stories going online and see if, that could get some traction. And it did, and a few women, including Caitlin, started to share their stories. And then from there, we were suddenly connected. I think there were about 12 of us connected. And so I said, should we start having some bi-weekly meetings? Should we start trying to organize a little bit? So it was such a grassroots effort, right? It was just about 2.5 years ago now. And so, it was very organic in the way that it's all only people with ALS doing everything, right? So we move at our own speed, but it's really incredible all that we've been able to achieve. Yeah, we're not always the quickest group, but we're definitely doing some pretty cool stuff. Just last night, Caitlin and I were actually together at a gala in New York City, right? Up on stage speaking in front of 300 people. So it's like the power of, like, the girl power behind this group, right? And the energy that we still have and that we've decided to focus at. God, I think advocating for better research and for a better future for patients looking ahead is really cool. And it gives us a really cool sense of purpose as well.
Yeah. Well, that's another big question. I mean, the as you continue to grow, what are the big agenda type items? I mean, you're talking about advocacy and, just raising awareness, but it seems like on the website, there's also a big driver to try to, raise money for more research.
Definitely. I think that we have to kind of stay in our lane. We aren't, Caitlin has a PhD, but most of us aren't doctors. We're not, the ones who are going to be leading the research, so we try to raise money to fund people who do know what they're doing, because we want them to be the ones with the money in their hands. So we're all about that, all about just getting the word out there, really trying to unveil kind of what's behind the scenes a little bit, because it's important for people to see what ALS is really like. So that's kind of the advocacy arm, but then we also have the sisterhood, the support network arm of our group as well. Kind of the big thing that we raise money for and work towards is an annual retreat. So it's so fun. We are always in contact, and we have a crazy active WhatsApp group with all the Her ALS Story members. But beyond that, we try to get together in person. We've now had 2 retreats. The first one had about 14 people. The second one that we had just this past September, there were 28 of us in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And so it's such a special experience because plenty of people are meeting other patients for the very first time. Caitlin can attest to the fact that we had a beautiful place to be hanging out at together. So it's something that you really can't replace, because people need that human connection. And so we're so happy to be able to share that together.
Absolutely. Caitlin, anything to add?
We're not a 501c organization yet, but our biggest hope is to raise awareness and finally find a cure. So, we have done a lot with Project ALS, who works to fund research and facilitating life hacks to make routines easier for those with differing abilities.
That's amazing. So again, I think a great place to go is to bring the website up again. So is the website the best place to go for folks to make contributions?
Yeah, so on the website in the top right corner, we have a little donate button. And so you can find the link to our GoFundMe page. So that money we use solely for our annual retreat. So we already have to start fundraising because it's obviously not a cheap endeavor because we want to be able to make it so that it's affordable for members from wherever they are to get to where we're meeting and make it so they pay for their travel, and once they're there, everything's covered. And then beyond that, below we have links to sites like Project ALS that Caitlin mentioned, or ALS TDI. So those are organizations that are very research focused, that we try to support when we can, because as you can imagine, we're very eager for better treatments and eventually cures to be found.
Wow. How big is the organization right now? How big is Her ALS Story?
So we actually have over 100 women in our group, which is pretty crazy, right? Like we said, it was completely organic. So we didn't go out searching for people, they found us. It's a little bit scary that, there's so many people impacted by this disease. But we think ALS is rare. It really isn't that rare. We say that the first studies say that people have a 1 in 300 lifetime risk of actually having the disease one day. So it's a lot higher than one might think. It's the same as MS, for example, but life expectancy is short. So maybe people don't have as much time to run into somebody with it. So maybe that's why our group's growing to be so big. But we're glad that if people are dealt this difficult card, there's a place for them to go, that they can find us.
Yeah. When you share that information, or just sharing stories and trying to get found, it always takes me back. Hearing stories like that always takes me back to my own rehab. So I was 18, I broke my neck from a 3-story fall, and I just remember being in the hospital in a very confused state, and not having any tools whatsoever or anyone to talk to that I could relate to that had either had a similar type of injury or was on the path to be able to just exchange ideas and just really not only exchange ideas but what works, but also just to express the pain, the emotional pain. And that was kind of before, that was in 1996, so it was before the internet. So really the way it is right now, to be able to find people that I don't know, give virtual hugs to, but also now in person, to be able to exchange those stories and exchange the highs and the lows. It's so vitally important. And knowing that you expand over multiple continents at this point, I would imagine one of the challenges now is just simply to set up these WhatsApps or whatever, just to be able to manage what time zone everybody's in, to be able to meet together at the same time.
Well, but that's what's cool about WhatsApp, right? I think, because ALS it's so frustrating that it impacts everything, right? Your hands, it might be harder to text, and it might be harder to communicate verbally, but actually with technology today, you can use your eyes like Caitlin is right now, or you can do a lot of different things. And what I love about WhatsApp is that we can't see those differences. When I open a message from Caitlin, I don't know if she used her toes or her fingers or her eyes to type that message. Right? It doesn't matter, and it's kind of the same with time zones. Right? Somebody from Australia can be writing messages, and I don't know what time zone. But it doesn't matter. We're not impatient. We can respond maybe a few hours later. The calls are more difficult to organize, that's true, but we are blessed with that, technology has advanced to where it is today, because their disability is still very difficult. I think, and Billy, you probably understand better than we do with the time effect there, but because there's a lot more out there to help people. And then even speaking, like footwear and stuff, the technology behind that too, and it's improved so much from where it was in 1996, I imagine.
It has, and amen. Well, you guys, this was absolutely incredible. I mean, first off, thank you so much for meeting with me today. This is just so awesome, and I just really appreciate your time. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. I mean, you're building just an incredible community, and keep doing it. But before we sign off for the day, I wanted to just give you one more opportunity. Any last thoughts before we wave goodbye to our guests?
Maybe I'll fill in while Caitlin types, but no, just really we're so happy to be connected with you, because I think also, it's so crazy being diagnosed with a disease or having to deal with disability at a young age, and dealing with that transition. Fashion is such a big part of that. So I think that's kind of a common thread for a lot of the women in our group. And so it's great to be connected with you, Billy, and also just to get tips from other people out there. So thanks.
Yeah. Well, it's an absolute honor for sure.
I'm actually thinking too, Billy, the woman I mentioned earlier, Lori Andre, she actually is in the footwear world. So you might even know her. She's an ALS advocate, but owns a company called Lori's Shoes in Chicago.
Oh,
And has
wow.
been designing shoes for years and years and years.
Oh my gosh, small world. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I do know that connection. Oh, wow, incredible. The world's getting smaller and smaller.
Exactly, yeah.
Boy, yeah, I didn't see that one coming. That's awesome.
Caitlin and I were just with her a few weeks ago. She was in town. It was really cool.
Incredible.
So, my pie in the sky, super big dream would be to have a high top in either purple or periwinkle in suede or leather with one of our logos on it. We're so thankful for you already, but since you're here, I have to ask.
Well, Caitlin, that's an amazing
Love it,
request.
Caitlin.
That was very timely and amazing. Let me talk to our product development peeps and see what we can do. Yeah. It's wild. So many
Thank
of our
you. Wow.
we get the question of where we get our designs and everything like that, and it's from requests just kind of like that, just people reaching out through social media and giving suggestions, and just being transparent and authentic and honest and expressing the need, and we just do what we can to accommodate. So unfortunately, it doesn't happen immediate, but we try to work with our retail partners to bring various things into the line to in the spirit of adding value. So yeah, Caitlin, let me run that past the product development team and see what we can do. Well, you guys, thank you again for your time. Everyone else that was tuning in, this is another episode of Open Book. I hope you enjoyed it. We will have another one again real soon. Until then, take care.
Thank you.